see if we can get this going. All right. Hopefully they'll have a lot of good questions today.
Yeah, hopefully.
Wait.
And as soon as I figure out, get this YouTube volume down. That's always my challenge. But I got it last time.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to get a new grasp on it as well. The whole doing it on one screen as opposed to two, so everybody can hear us.
Right, and then you gotta have two. Well, I gotta have two so I can see comments.
Yeah. Yeah, because I used to do the pop-out screen, but then it's like, well, if I'm doing one page, then I can't have it popped out because then everybody will see the full screen instead of just the chat. Can we?
Right.
Okay. All right, everybody joining in. If you can let us both know, can you hear me and Candace okay? Kathy, I'm upset I can't stream on. Me too. I feel like a lot of people are because, you know, I would love to watch it aside from, you know, catching it later on the same night because of stupid, I don't know why. I feel like you got to buy. That's why I hate OWN in the sense that it's not a main network. You have to pay extra to get it on like different cable packages.
Right.
Man. All right. So,
right. We were talking about how, you know, Viacom, if it went over to Viacom, more people will be able to see it.
Exactly. All right. Well, everybody's saying they can hear us okay. This is an open Q&A discussion, so just leave your questions in the comments and we'll try to answer them the best we can. I think the first question is, do you think Veronica knows Justin was the one that hit them?
I don't think so. Not yet, but I think she will figure it out because she's so clever and so smart. I think she'll figure it out.
I mean, for me, it seems like she saw somebody behind him, obviously, in the car, but I don't believe she was able to make out that it was Justin.
Right, and he was in this really old truck, so it was probably hard for her to see. And she was driving Melissa's car and probably wasn't used, you know, just all the factors that play into that. And it happened so quickly. Puts it together and figures out that it was him.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, let's see here. Weird. Just waiting on more questions. Everybody's like, hey, how's it going? They can hear us. Perfect. Waiting. I feel like a lot of questions are going to have Veronica theme around them. Hopefully that's not the case. But then again, there's really not too much to talk about.
Right, right. I mean, the last couple live streams I've done with you, we get tons of questions.
I know, right? It's just weird, but oh well. Let's see. Was Hannah doing the same thing Candace doing? That's why she doesn't want her. I feel like she was a prostitute or a con artist or a seductress back in her day. I think they were doing the same thing, but just not to the same levels. That's pretty much, I mean, I feel like we talked about this in every single video. Here's another one. What do you think will happen to Melissa's mom?
Well, she said that she was moving to Delaware to live with her sister. I think she's probably going to financially lose everything she has.
Oh.
I think that's kind of where they were headed anyway before Veronica stepped in with her plan.
Agree. Oh, hang on a sec. Somebody says there's echoes. Let me try something real quick. This might work. Okay. All right. Wow. Okay. Finally, questions are coming in. Again, I did something to adjust the sound. Can you let me know if you hear without an echo? No echo. Oh, now all the questions are Candace based. This is cool. Sheesh.
will Candace learn how to love? Either she'll die or she'll learn at the very end.
Right, right.
That's.
She's gonna have a big wake up call at some point.
I mean, how? What does she have left to lose? I mean, aside from Benny, of course, but that's about it. I mean, she's on. There's been different points now where it's like, okay, I've lost all my money, I lost my house, I've lost my child, almost lost my life on multiple occasions. Now what?
Right. And everything that she's gotten, it's been a con. Everything is a con. I mean, she doesn't do anything honestly.
Exactly. Okay, everybody's saying the echo is gone. Perfect. All right. Benny should say that Hannah died, but she didn't, just to see how Candace would react. I don't think that would faze her at all. I mean, if anything, she said more times than I can count that I wish you would die or you should drop dead. Not to mention back in season 1 where people would ask her about, her parents, she would just say, oh, my mom died.
Yeah. She is definitely very, very, I think she has love somewhere in her heart deep, but she's pretty evil, mostly, for the most part. Maybe less evil than Veronica, because she does show love for Benny.
True. I feel like it's like I said in that video I did about did Candace really love her son? I don't think so, but I think it's really about the fact that she's never really learned how to love because she's never been loved. So because of that, she really can't give what she doesn't have.
True.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm reading through the questions. Most of them are Candace based, but I feel like we answered them in the other question there.
Right. There, I see one. Rachel Williams, is Melissa pregnant or is it a setup?
Honestly, I don't know. That's hard.
I think she was. I think she maybe she's had a miscarriage, maybe not while the 2 times that she was in the hospital. But the last time, I thought for sure she was until this last time. I think we talked about this the other night, that she refused to, get a checkup or an ultrasound by the doctor because she didn't care. So I'm starting to question now if she still is.
Me too. I feel like she didn't do it. I mean, I feel like it was written for her not to get one for a reason.
Right.
I wish Medea was in the haves and the have-nots. Nah, I'm good. I mean, but
I don't see. The only way I could see that is if she was like Miss Pearl's neighbor, and they could go at it. That's it. I mean, Medea does not fit in with that at all.
I would only want to see Tyler Perry in the show if he was what's his name, Byron or Brian, the character he plays in the Medea movies. Pretty much, like a lawyer figure. That's the only time I would want Tyler Perry in the show.
Right.
Richard, what's up with the Landon storyline? I don't like where it's going. Me neither. I just feel like it's a bit forced considering Charles knows that Landon is gay. Landon knows Charles is straight. So are they trying to recreate a Wyatt and Jeffrey season 1 thing or what?
Yeah, that's weird because, we both remember the whole creepy Jeffrey first season and how a lot of people, forgot that. I don't know. I mean, I thought that Charles knew Landon was gay and that Landon knew that Charles was really into Candace. That was kind of weird. And like the way he was walking out of the room with the tray, it was just weird.
Exactly. And when it comes down to it, I'm just thinking, I think I was talking with Chandler yesterday, or was it you? And we talked about how characters, some of them you just love. No, it was us when we were talking about the bad acting. Season 1, I did not like Jeffrey at all because I thought it was creepy. It wasn't that he was homosexual. It was just the way he was creeping on Wyatt and whatnot. But then at the beginning of season 2, after the emotional finale, you really began to feel for Jeffrey because of how he was being treated by his mom.
Right. I totally agree. And I didn't like Jeffrey also in the first season because it was like people just didn't, people, when they get so wrapped up in these characters, they want to believe what they want to believe and see what they want to believe, And I always kind of blamed Jeffrey a little bit for Wyatt relapsing and stealing that car that night because he was really creeping Wyatt out. Yeah, Wyatt was a jerk, in season 1 and a crack addict, but Jeffrey kind of pushed him to that a little bit.
I told my mom, like, okay, so remember he pretended to be gay in order to get solid evidence that Jeffrey was gay? It's like, what, why? I'm not gay. Well, what about that bulge in your pants? Kiss me. And he's like, I knew it. And then he's like, I'm going to go tell your parents. And then he got hit upside the head with the golf club. And then he fought off Jeffrey for the keys. So I'm just like, why did you go to the crack house instead of going to where you thought you were? That's why I miss Laura, because Wyatt pretended to break it off with Laura because of something that Jeffrey said about, some guy from college or high school that I saw you with. And basically I'm like, he's pushing Laura away on purpose in order to expose Jeffrey, because I wanted him and Laura to be together, because that's one of the few things I liked about Celine, because she's like, I liked it when you're around Laura, because when you were with Wyatt, he got his act straight. He never smoked. He wasn't on drugs. He didn't drink. You were the best thing that ever happened to him.
Right. And then that was one of those storylines that just disappeared and that we never saw or heard of Laura, again after that. That was one of the, we were talking about that the other night, the cancer story and even the Hannah and Michael thing, he just dropped off. He disappeared. And then Laura disappeared. There's several people that just dropped off, and we don't know why. Now, the only one I don't care to come back would be Celine. She's like I can't stand Celine.
Technically, she has to come back because there's so many unresolved storylines with her being, all the millions of dollars in child support money.
Yeah, like her son, Carlos.
Yeah.
Right? He needs to find out that his mom obviously has lied to him about the money he got from Jim and Kathryn.
Yeah, that's a big story. And I still say she killed Amanda.
Oh, absolutely. And that's another way to bring her back would be to prosecute her if they can prove that Amanda was murdered.
Exactly. Cool kid. Hannah's wig in season 1 was a hot mess. That's one of my favorite things about every season, seeing what kind of hairstyle Hannah's going to have next.
Right. Is that one of the pictures you have? The one with the short hair wig, or the one with that looks almost like a mullet? It's really short in the front and long in the back.
Yep, that is bottom left-hand corner, season 3, when they're at the Crier house after Amanda's funeral.
Right. What question are you on now, Jeremy?
I am looking at Twan. I am Tyler Perry. I'm telling the truth. Okay. Ice Cube will be on the new episode. He will play Candace's son. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, anyway, let's see here. Chandler, I think if Jeffrey had not have pushed Laura out of Wyatt's life, he would have been doing fine. But that's another reason I didn't like Jeffrey, because he seemed to be purposefully sabotaging Wyatt just so he can be with him longer.
Right. Okay. The question above Chandler's, do you think David will find out his friend is associated with Candace? Yeah, I do. And I actually think it'll probably be sooner than we think. There's no reason that David should be this naive and dumb. So somebody's going to find out. I mean, it could be, it could be someone, it could be Candace herself if she doesn't get what she wants out of Erica.
Oh, I agree. I'm just like, I don't want that storyline to stretch out the entire season because it really makes David look dumb.
Yeah, and I always have, aside from the David that hangs out with Jim, which is the slimy David because they're always in cahoots, when David is away from Jim, he's a decent guy.
Oh, I agree. And let's see here. Is Kathryn going to jail? I doubt it.
I don't think so either.
I think her being in jail was a one and done kind of thing.
Right, me too. Her being in jail was so awkward to watch.
Yeah, I agree with that. But and then Veronica and that hair, I couldn't. It was crazy. Let's see. If Chandler, if David finds out Melissa is being done wrong by Veronica, do you think he will try to help her? Well, not really, because he should know by now Melissa is... Well, really, David's more focused on Jeffrey. I think it would have been interesting if Jeffrey brought up that, hey, Dad, here's everything Mom has done with Melissa. I think David would have given her the money to save her father. I believe that. Anything to get his son off the hook, because David would do it for him.
Right, and that's one thing that annoys me about Jeffrey. And we were talking about him a couple nights ago, about him stuttering and not getting his words out. He's had opportunities to come clean and tell his dad everything, and he hasn't. His dad would have definitely helped him more had he been honest and told him the full story of what Veronica was doing. I
mean, I knew if I was in that situation, if I couldn't call my dad, I would definitely text it to him, like, call me now or something, because I feel like a lot of these problems could have been resolved or at least addressed long ago. And I think when it comes down to it, David helping out Melissa, she would have got an abortion. It's all because Jeffrey was afraid, because his mom was like, I'm going to have you arrested and all this stuff, which we know she's capable of doing. But it just comes down to the fact that, of course, Jeffrey doesn't say everything he needs to say. He'll just say a couple words to get you off his back, and then that's it. And what I want to know is, will he take Hannah's advice to go get help for his anger management?
That'd be interesting, because he could very well snap on Justin.
I think that would happen. If it comes down to it, Veronica, Wyatt, I think that Jeffrey, it'll be very poetic if he's the one to take down Justin. Let's see.
Right, I agree.
This new DA better tread carefully. He does not want to mess with Veronica. That could be his major downfall. I mean, anybody. I mean, remember, he's going after Veronica and the Crier. So there's just no telling how many enemies he can possibly make in this.
It could be signing his death wish. I hope that, if something does happen to him, it's not Kathryn this time. She can't keep doing all their dirty work.
Oh, good Lord, no. No. Well, then again, she doesn't care, so.
Okay, Tyler Perry is Bill Cosby. I don't know what that means. I mean, I know who both of them are, obviously, but I don't
know. Yeah, I just blocked his message. He's been trolling us the whole time.
Fun.
Yeah.
Gotta love him.
Ain't got time for that. Let's see here. Okay. Wow, this is an interesting one. I wish Benny and Wyatt actually met each other. The only interaction they ever had was when Wyatt ran Benny over. I want to know what that conversation would be like. Me too. That's a very good question.
Right. I actually heard, of course, through social media that they were going to have an interaction. I think maybe this season, maybe one interaction. And I hope that's true.
I'm trying to think how that conversation would go, actually.
The only way I could see it is if, Wyatt goes home to his mama, which is probably where he needs to be. And then, some kind of, they end up meeting through their moms, like at Kathryn's house or at Hannah's house. Something like that. I can see if Wyatt got himself together, he and Benny probably could end up being friends.
I feel like Hannah's forgiven Wyatt, but again, Benny hasn't, because he's never met him yet. That's why I feel it'll be interesting. That's why I was kind of disappointed, when Jim and Benny met for the first time at the end of last season at Hannah's house, but nothing really came from that. It was pretty much oh, hey, I'm Hannah's son. Oh, I'm Jim Cryer. That's it. I'm like, this is the guy that tried to cover up the hit and run, but I understand why it wasn't introduced because there was just way too much going on at that moment.
Right. And did you see how Jim walked into the house like he owned the place? Like he was trying to act big and macho in front of Benny, and he really had no clue who Benny was.
Exactly. And it's just like, yo, up, your son hit me. You tried to cover it up. So, yeah. But, I mean, if they got into a fight, who do you think would win?
Between who?
Wyatt and Benny.
Probably Benny. I would say Benny. Although I can't wait to see if Wyatt actually defends himself with Justin because he's obviously going to be attacked by Justin.
Well, to be honest, he's pretty much poking the bear.
Beat Justin down.
Me too, but I doubt it's going to happen because it looks like Jim is rushing in to help. And, I mean, he's literally poking Justin with a stick. So he's going to be enraged when he comes over.
Justin's a dirty cop. Yeah, Justin's a dirty cop, and he's clearly unstable.
Got that right. I know when it comes down to it, let's see here. Oh, I just wonder why Wyatt hates Kathryn. I understand why he hates Jim, but why his mom? And that's ironic because I always thought that Wyatt was Kathryn's favorite child and Amanda was Jim's favorite child, just based off how they treat each other.
Right. And I always thought that too before Amanda died, and then seeing how hard Kathryn took it, I knew that she loved her kids equally, but I think she was less hard on Wyatt because of how hard Jim was on him.
Oh, yeah.
And,
yeah.
Right. And I think she loved her kids the same. And I kind of tend to think that Jim loves both of them too.
I agree.
Jim always gets his priorities screwed up because he's always thinking about women and getting away with crimes instead of focusing on his family. Yeah, it kind of annoys me how they've written Wyatt, not so much the drug addiction part because that's reality, but the way he treats his mom. I think they could have changed it and wrote him differently. So that he could, they really need to work on their relationship because she really loves him. Like, I wish he could have heard the way she was talking to him in the hospital when he was in that coma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like he goes around thinking that she doesn't love him, and she does. And it's like, okay, that's another unspoken or one of those types of I don't know what you would call it, but it's like in the script where it's like he never truly finds out what he needs to know. And that happens a lot in the show.
Ain't that the truth? No, but I just think about how Wyatt, I feel like Jim wanted to cover up Wyatt's hit and run only because he was running for governor. Kathryn wanted it covered it up so she didn't want to see her baby go to jail.
Right. Her baby, and because she also knew that he had been molested as a child at that camp, and he's really angry because of that because he obviously hasn't gotten the help he needed.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they brushed it under the rug, or maybe they handled it because everything is all about their name in the town. So I think that they definitely need to work on fixing hers and Wyatt and Kathryn's relationship over anything to do with Jim, for sure.
Agreed. But
I mean, we've gone like a whole season without any scenes with Wyatt and his parents.
I mean, because he's really closed himself off. He's just rejected everybody. So, except for his money and Anna and Jeffrey.
Right, and if Oscar recovers the money, he's going to have to go run back to his mom's house. He's not going to have anywhere else to go.
Well, unless those words are brought up in court that he spilled his guts out about how his parents hated Jennifer Salatin. So, I feel like he's going to regret that at some point. I'm not talking about his parents getting revenge, but I mean, like, I feel like he's going to have a change of heart, but it'll be too late.
Right. Like, it's almost like, like Candace too, like, that Candace and Wyatt in particular, those two are going to have some major regrets when they finally come to their senses.
I agree. I mean, I'm just thinking about how much do these people have to lose before they finally open their eyes?
Right, right. And it seems like Jim is really losing a lot right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point where it's like, well, dang, is on again, him and Candace being the two staples of the show, what do they have left to lose?
Right, right. And I've always said, like, if we ever did, like, a prediction of, like, where we see the final season, I feel like Jim is going to be the one that ends up in prison.
I mean, because I'm trying to think of a reason for him to not be in prison. The only reason would be him being a father to his youngest son by Celine, but that's it.
Right, and like, how would that be though? Because what if Celine really did kill Amanda and she ends up in prison, and then you've got this little kid knocking on Jim and Kathryn's door?
That's
Are they
true.
going to raise Celine's kid?
Exactly. I don't know. That's a good man. I don't know. I mean, Celine got all that money, so the question is, what happens with that?
Yeah, Carlos needs to find out about that because he could be living on that money.
I know. I feel like him being a hard-working person, he wouldn't, blow it like a Candace or a Wyatt, but I feel like he would be smart about it because I just thought about when Wyatt had Celine pinned down on the couch at the beginning of season 3, and it's like, unlike you, he's not a spoiled brat. He had to work all the way through college and whatnot. And I'm thinking, well, dang, you got all that money. What's going on? But I feel like her not even spending a dime is her way of saying, oh, it's not about the money. Jim loves me like I love him, so he's going to come back. So this money, I really don't need it. So I'm just like, they're living in the slum. I wouldn't say the ghetto, but they're living in the lower portion of Savannah, Georgia. I know that much. But it's just like, you would think she would want to get a nice house. But again, I feel like it's all down to the whole, yeah, we're just going to be in an apartment, someplace where if we need to get up and go as soon as Jim wants us to, we don't have to worry about the whole selling a house and doing this and that. And I think it's just a crying shame right there.
Right, right. And she wants it to appear that she's living on a maid's salary instead of a baby mama to a rich family salary.
And the whole, her having a husband back in season 1, but then that just disappeared. Like, literally, if you go back and watch season 1, you can literally point out all the storylines and characters who were either seen, mentioned, or brought up once, and then it just disappeared from the face of the earth.
Right, I think his name was Humberto or something.
Yeah, and it's like he got a nice raise, and that was right around the time Hannah was about to lose her house, and Celine was like, if I had the money, I'd give it to you, and Hannah was like, I wouldn't ask you for it. And I'm just like, that lying whore.
Right, right, yeah, she's definitely. I was not a fan of Celine. I mean, not at all, not even remotely.
I mean,
yeah.
I think Hannah was.
I just thought it was a little too far fetched. Yes, Jim is a dirtbag. He's sleazy. He sleeps around. But the maid lived, working in their house for 28 years, having a son the same age as Kathryn's oldest son, and then another kid. That was just so far fetched for me.
Yeah, I mean, one kid is Arnold Schwarzenegger, but 2, I'm like, what? And then, of course,
and still in the house.
Exactly. And I know Kathryn was like, yeah, I want to keep her on the job. That way, Jim will just see his mistake every day as soon as he gets up. And she tries to look nice, wearing heels around the house and whatnot. But I just love that. My mom used to laugh about that. Why is she wearing heels sweeping the front porch or whatever? What's going on? She's a maid. And then I love how Celine's like,
right.
She won't even let me come in through the front door. She's never had a conversation with me or never gave me a promotion. What's going on?
Right, right. And Jim never loved her. Never loved her. It was really just about one thing. It was convenient, like there was probably moments when she obviously took it as love because he probably told her that just to keep getting some from her. But he doesn't love her, and he doesn't love the kids that he had with her. And I am not 100% sure that both of those kids actually do belong to him.
Yeah, we got to check on that. And also, I'm thinking about the fact that Jim pretty much told her in season 1, like, look, I never loved you. And wait, actually, sorry. When he went over to her house after she exposed him on TV, and he was like, "I never loved you. I said whatever it took to get it." I think one of my favorite scenes between Jim and Wyatt was when Jim and Kathryn were, this was before the funeral, sitting on the couches drinking and called Wyatt down the stairs. And they were pretty much, okay, ask us any question you want to. And Jim was pretty, for once, just open and honest, like, "Wyatt, your dad is addicted to sex. As soon as I want something, I'll go after it. And after I've gotten to sex, I'm done." And that's pretty much his explanation.
And then he said, and I can't figure out why. He basically said is, after I have the woman, I can't figure out why I wanted her so bad in the first place. So he admitted, just like you said, he admitted he was an addict.
Pretty much, yeah. And when it comes down to it, I love when he talked about Kathryn. It's like, "I'm tired of helping those who don't want to help themselves. I tried to save my children, help my children, but they didn't want it." I love when he talked about Kathryn. "Your mom keeps blaming me for everything," and then Kathryn just rolled her eyes. It was crazy. But I just love how...
I try to help my wife. He said, "I try to help my wife, but she doesn't want my help." And I'm like, what are you trying to help her with?
Like, exactly. Aside from cleaning up her big messes, but aside from that, I'm just like, okay.
Right. And I found it hilarious that he got so jealous when he found it. Now, how did he not know that she had affairs right under his nose?
Because he's Jim Cryer.
He acted so jealous about it.
It's like they say women are better liars and better at hiding things. So it wouldn't surprise me if Kathryn's had a few men under Jim's nose, because you look at how Jim is too preoccupied with his own escapades. So, and then look back at season 1.
And then that kind of woke something up in him, and it was like I took it as he liked seeing this new side to her, this new honest and open side.
I'm going to be honest here. Wyatt and Candace are perfect for each other. I even did a video way back. Those two are actually more in common than you would think.
Oh, I agree. I definitely agree. But I think heads would roll the day that they ended up together. That would be crazy.
Oh, my God.
Ended up together.
Yeah. Well, instead of a relationship, in terms of character, I definitely agree with that. I always wanted Benny and Amanda to meet, because I think of the Cryer kids and the young kids to be one and the same. You got an older kid who is addicted to something. Candace is addicted to conning people, using her body to get what she wants. Wyatt is addicted to substance abuse. Then you have the younger sibling who is kind of like soft-spoken, very caring, but naive. That's Benny and Amanda in a nutshell.
Absolutely. Very, very well said.
Yeah. And then
that's the truth too, because Amanda, she had her problems, but she had a very kind heart, and it was hard to see her get taken advantage of and manipulated by Candace. That was really hard to watch.
Same thing with Benny, but to be fair, that's his sister, so regardless, he's going to see her for him, being his sister no matter what. True, he doesn't like what she does, but at the same time, it's like, look, I'm going to fight for my sister no matter what. And that's the painful part, because it's just like, I feel like Hannah was really good in the first couple of seasons, because there was a reason for her breaking down, because everybody that she knew either turned against her. Celine was her friend for at least 2 to 3 years, because they met up, in the maid game, so to speak. And then it turned out, she was paranoid and about the whole, "You're flirting with my man Jim," and then she turned her back on Hannah. Then you got, her friend Kathryn, her new friend, who covered up the hit and run, and then their friendship was on the rocks. Then you had Byron, who came in, and I like the Byron thing, because it reminded me of Oscar and Candace. Hannah was suspect of Byron at first, but eventually grew on him. And then it turned out, guess what? Stabbed her in the back because he was working for Jim. Michael was...
But I think Byron was starting to really like Hannah, though, and he felt really guilty about what Jim was paying him to do.
Oh, no. I truly agree with that. And I even said way back when, Byron should come back and be the one to find Quincy Jr., because I remember that one episode when they were driving back from the hospital, and aside from talking about the Benny situation with the hit and run, she's like, "Since you're an investigator, can you try to look up Quincy Maxwell Jr.?" And he said, I'll look into it. So I thought if there was ever a way to return Byron back into the show and also kind of show Hannah that he's sorry for what he did and hopefully to make it up to her, find her grandbaby, but that didn't happen and that pissed me off.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Let's see here.
What? Okay, Nathaniel Woods says Jim wants to hurt Kathryn so badly. I mean, I agree with that, but I don't know why. I don't get why he hates her so bad.
Yeah, me too.
And yeah, she is. Kathryn is too busy trying to get her groove back. Yeah, that's true. She is, and she just doesn't care.
That's the problem, man.
Yeah, I think she'll come back to reality, though. I think this season she's going to be taking care of some things, and then we're probably going to see, we may see, like, how truly powerful she really is. And, okay, so going back to the children thing, just for a second.
Yeah.
I think, I always thought it was crazy that Tyler didn't write more children in for Kathryn and Jim. Because I think it would have added, or it would have been, like, something to, like, now at this point, they've seen Wyatt and Amanda just be so disastrous that they could have had like a normal kid come out somewhere that could have been close to her, you know. I think they should have written at least one or two more kids there for them.
The reason they didn't do that, not to cut you off, but the reason they didn't do that, in my opinion, is probably because if they did, that would have probably lessened the connection between her and Hannah. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's really sad when you look back at the first few episodes where Kathryn's trying to clean her bedcloth because it had blood on it, and then she was like crying in the room by herself, and Jim's like, I'm going to the office. Okay, I'll talk to you later. And it's like you felt so bad because she had no one. And this probably went on for a couple of years, not the breast cancer, but her feeling alone in the marriage, her kids wanting nothing to do with her. And as she told Hannah at the end of season 1, you know what? I tried everything within my power to hold this family together, and it almost killed me. So I'm just going to sit back and let it fall apart. So I agree. A child would have been a decent idea.
Right. I think she did try. She said, remember Hannah said, why can't you tell your daughter you have breast cancer? And she said that she was too fragile and wouldn't be able to handle it, which was the truth.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Amanda would have freaked out about it because I think Amanda truly loved her mom and wanted the relationship with her. I think they loved each other, but in pushing Amanda to get a type of degree that she wanted her
oh
to get,
my
to
God.
commit to something.
Oh my God. If I remember correctly, and again, I could be wrong. I want to tweet the stars about this. And for those listening in, I don't believe we ever saw one scene where Amanda and Kathryn had a loving scene. Hear me out. The first opening episode, everybody got together and we got the character introductions. Then, of course, a couple episodes later, she comes to her mom about, switching majors. She was like, nope. Then we switch over to her moving in with Candace. And, of course, her moving in with Candace, she never went back home again until... when
Jim went and picked her up.
Yeah, because no, that was season 2 when she tried to kill herself with those pills. Kathryn didn't show up because she was in the hospital as well for that surgery. But yeah, that's right, because Jim and Wyatt literally jump on Kathryn. It's like, where were you at? I was on vacation. So I remember Kathryn being in bed for the last few episodes of season 1. Then when Amanda came in there, she's like, oh, I moved in with Candace. And Kathryn was trying to tell, like, little girl, you don't know what you've gotten yourself into. And as she said, it's like, well, that's it. She's fully, like, got her claws on you. Pretty much, I see Candace inside of you. Then we get to the opening of season 2 where, Candace has her fighting for the will. It's like, look, I want my inheritance right now. And then after that, the only other time we see those two together was when Kathryn was like, welcome home, Amanda. This was after Jim made her come back home. And she's like, whatever. And then she went back up to her room. And every scene after that was Kathryn looking for the gun. And then we saw them at the dinner together. And then that was it. So if I'm not mistaken, we never truly saw a true mother-daughter scene in a loving fashion between those two. That's why I say Wyatt and Kathryn were closer, and Jim and Amanda were closer, because Kathryn wanted to do what had to be done, put her in an institution. Jim didn't want that. Wyatt,
he didn't want to be. She always had to be the bad cop.
Exactly.
At their house.
Exactly.
But, okay, so the very first episode, when they're after Jim's 50th birthday party, they're going up the stairs. There is a moment where they kiss each other on the cheek and hug, and then the day that she came down begging to change her major, her mom like brushes her hair. So there was a little bit there, but I think it was because her mom always had to be the heavy at the house because Jim was too busy out, being the hoe that he is.
Yeah, I remember her like brushing the hair because she made a sarcastic remark. It's like, "Oh, honey, after all the majors and hundreds of thousands of dollars we spent, yeah, go ahead, be a fashion designer." And he's like, "Really? Okay." And she's like, "Oh, baby, you still don't know what sarcasm is. Maybe you shouldn't be a lawyer after all." So I do remember that scene.
Right. I just think that, and I think that the very beginning of the show, we only saw that one side, like of her crying in her bathroom. I think that we only saw that one side. I think before the show began, if we could imagine that, like, I think it was probably a little more love there, and I think it just gotten to the point that she was just tired.
I agree. Hence why they need to do that movie. So many things we could see in there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? If the show ends in 2020, that's good. You can take a year off, but give us a movie about what happens before the show started and then bring the series back. That's what I want. Because I would rather get a bunch of these questions answered. Yep, that's right. Because it would create more hype for the show if it were to return. It's like, you know what? We're going to end the haves and the have-nots on own, but let's do this movie answering some questions, see how well the movie does, and based off the support, let's go ahead and do another series. Well, I mean, a continuation. That's what they should do.
Okay, right. I was just reading through some comments. I'm going back. Okay, Dominique says, "Do you remember the episode when Hannah gave Kathryn that joint and Kathryn came down the stairs all high?" Yes, that was so funny.
Yeah, I joked about that.
A very lighthearted moment.
Celine is like, "Wait, do you smell weed? I smell joints. Look, Wyatt isn't here, and I know what it smells like."
Yeah, and she said he doesn't allow marijuana in his house. And then Hannah's like, "This is her house. She can do what she wants. She's a grown woman."
And I know Mr. Cryer has money, but not as much as she does.
Yeah.
And I always made a joke. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I always joked that Kathryn looked like the Joker when she was coming down off that joint. Like, literally, her smile was so huge.
Yeah. She played it up like she really was high.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Nathaniel Wood says Jim's family and Kathryn's family had history. I don't think so.
Nope, I doubt it.
I think this is just gathering. The only information we have is 2 episodes, and that was the one that Kathryn said that they met in high school when she was 15, and that he was the jock. So assuming he was probably 15 or 16 about the time too. He seduced her. He knew she was rich and all that. Now, we don't know for sure if he was really into her or not. Something tells me he probably did. I think he probably did care for her back then. And I'm sure the money was a bonus, but even he admitted to David that he used to be attracted to his wife, but he wasn't anymore. So if he said that to David, to me, I felt like that was probably true. But then there was also, apparently he didn't come up with anything, and then he made that comment to Warlock in the jail that he came from Indiana and he was poor and all that. So I don't think their families were connected at all. In fact, I think her family hated him and didn't want her to marry him.
Oh, I agree with that. I mean, because she said I was the chubby rich girl. He was like the star quarterback or something like that, and he winked at me. And I'll never forget that moment. Always thought of it like...
Right, it was really sad.
I feel like Jim could have come from like the too close to home area and then met up with Kathryn on for better or worse, you know, like a person on the rich side of the tracks, and then they ended up together, and then you have a have and a have not. Boom. Mic drop.
Boom. Boom. And then if you do the math right, they dated like 7 years before they got married.
Yeah, I believe so.
Probably they had to go through college together, and I think now I kind of wondered about this. Did the Harringtons and Cryers go to college together, and then the three went to law school together? Because Kathryn said Veronica was smart in college, kind of like she was there too.
I agree, because David said that he met Veronica in law school, and I believe that David and Jim might have met in college as well, and that's how they ended up on the bench around the same time.
And like family, because the first season they were just like family.
Oh, you know? Yeah,
a black family and a white family together as one family. The kids are grown up together.
Plus, they live close to each other too, because I believe Jim like ran towards David's house when it was on fire.
Right. And then, you know, Wyatt, Jeffrey, and Amanda all grew up together.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a deep connection there, for sure. I just want to know the backstory like you do.
Man. That's why I'm excited about tomorrow night, because we're going to get some backstory in regards to Hannah, Candace, and, you know, her baby daddy. So we'll just have to see about that. Right.
And I saw a question earlier that Candace and her newfound father were gonna have a relationship. I think they should, but that also depends on if her father, what type of career he's in. Is he a cop? Then that's not gonna work. Is he, you know, a crook like she is? Then they probably would get along great.
Yeah, I need to really see how his demeanor is in the next episode, because based off the scene, you know, where Candace is like, I didn't want you, I didn't want no baby, we didn't see her father in any of those scenes, so I'm wondering if he's just going to up and leave from the room. That's what I'm wondering.
Right. Okay, has a really good question. How do you think Kathryn would have treated Amanda if she had found out she was raped before she died? That's a great question.
Oh my God, she would have coddled her, like literally, no lie.
Yeah, and that would have, and that's the thing about her being killed off so soon. That would have given them a chance to really have a bonding mother-daughter moment, you know. And she probably had moments where they loved her. You know, they talked about her birth and things like that, and that she got a pony for her 5th birthday and things like that. But it would have been great to have seen her find that out and been able to really coddle her daughter.
Remember how naive she was? Because even Candace told her in the hospital after she, you know, tried to take her life with those pills, well, Amanda, you need to tell somebody. It's like, no, you can't tell anybody. And man, because I mean,
I don't get that.
Me neither.
Her parents would have protected her to the ends of the earth, and they actually did. They killed the professor.
Yeah, that was one thing I didn't like about Candace at that moment. You know, after she got hit upside the head with the bottle, and she told the story about how she got raped by Professor Cannon. But I liked it because she was pure Candace. She told a half truth. She's just like, she got raped by Professor Cannon, and then I love how she flipped the story on Jim like it was his fault, because Amanda was like, she told me that you told her you were in law school and you weren't doing anything that nobody else was doing in the past. And even though Jim said that, right, Candace spun it back on him because she got raped before Jim told Amanda that in the hospital. And I remember that.
That's one thing I can't stand about Candace is she only tells half truths. The only part of the truth that benefits her, and the only reason she told them that their daughter was raped, it was to get out of the room because Kathryn was going to beat her down, you know, and the hitting her with the bottle was amazing, and she deserved that.
Isn't it sad that one of the most loving and touching moments between Hannah and Candace was in that? I think that was the first time Candace called Hannah mama, because remember, Hannah came back in the house because she forgot something like her keys or something like that, and she heard voices, and she was knocking on the door like, Candace, is that you? I'm in here, mama. And then Hannah was like, look, I'm not going to stand by and knowingly let you harm my daughter. And the fact that she stood up for Candace, that was like, oh my God, I love that. It's kind of like the whole situation where
even though Candace only reached out to her for her own benefit, she didn't, because she treats Hannah so horribly.
Yeah. But at the same time, that just shows you how much Hannah does love her daughter. She's like, look, I might not love them in terms of what they do, but at the end of the day, that's still my child. And it's just like, it's just like what was it? When Hannah told Kathryn, I need your help, I think it had to do with legal assistance. And it also included Candace. She's like, oh my God, that girl is still my daughter. I love that. It's like, even though those two are close friends, like at the end of the day, that's still my child. It's just like Wyatt caring about Hannah and Amanda.
Hannah understands why Kathryn hates Candace, and she rightfully so should hate her,
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's the sad part, because Kathryn is helping Candace by extension of Hannah, but Candace wouldn't want anything to do with it, almost the same way that Veronica can help Benny, but Hannah doesn't want anything to do with her. It's kind of weird.
Right. Cool kid. Kathryn is younger than Jim.
Yeah, I believe so. I think David's older. I think David's older than Jim. Yeah, like a couple years.
Right.
I can't wait until tomorrow's episode. I wonder.
Right, I know. I was trying to answer a few more of these questions because they're like, I feel like I've missed some of them. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I'm looking through them. It's just like a bunch of, I feel like a chunk of questions would come in at one time in relation to what we're talking about at that moment. And I have been looking through the chats, but some of the chats are things we answered indirectly through answering another question.
Right. Tammy says, question, was Kathryn's family mob related, or did her family was just well-to-do, hence the Malones? Yeah, I think now that's something we wondered about, if she was actually related to the Malones somehow, like on her mom's side or something like that. But we also assumed that maybe her dad and the Malone, Mama Rose's dad, or Mama Rose had a connection with Kathryn's father, right?
Agreed.
Kathryn's father was very powerful and rich, and like generational after generation, like old Southern money, probably going back to the Civil War days, owning half of Savannah. But her father was like crooked though, wasn't he? Wasn't he like he could get people killed and hurt if he wanted to type thing?
Yeah. Oh, Maya Jones, we're talking, but we can see all of your chats and everything, because sometimes we're answering a question, but that question leads to such an in-depth discussion that we end up going off the deep end on another subject. But Dominique, are you doing an If Loving You Is Wrong episode review? I'm not going to lie, I don't even know. I watched the episode, but I was like, I don't know. Let's see here. Didn't Jennifer say something about Kathryn's father, like sleeping with a lot of young girls and giving them scholarships and whatnot? I know that's the episode where Kathryn went to Jennifer's office and literally threatens, like, bitch, I'll shoot you out in the street. I'm like, whoa! Like, what?
And she knew that Jennifer Salison had
like eggs or something.
Eggs at a sperm bank.
I'm just like, well, dang. So yeah, she does her homework. She leaves she turns in a sloppy assignment, but Kathryn Cryer does her homework.
Right. That's dead on. Cool kid. Yes, Veronica did sleep with Kathryn's father. That's how she got her scholarship for college.
Good Lord. And then she gets on David, no pun intended. But speaking of the whole, what was it? The whole Hannah and Candace loving scene, if you will. It reminded me of that one scene where Landon was trying to trip up Veronica at that press conference by having that lesbian, homosexual, pretty much approving gay marriage person to ask the question. And you just saw how Veronica answered the question. And even though it was a lie of how she well, then again, she did tell David, I don't have a thing against gay people. I just don't want my son to be gay because it's hard enough being a black in America, a young black man, a young straight black man. And now you want to throw homosexuality into the mix. So she doesn't have a problem with gay people as long as it doesn't come over to her area. And when it comes down to it, I will just never forget that scene because of how David was looking at his wife with pride, you know, just like, this is the woman I married. And it's just a shame because we haven't seen that Veronica, at least one that is real.
Right, right. Do you think the Veronica in the bed talking to Benny on the phone is real, or do you think that she's going to play Benny?
But as I told Chandler, the music makes it seem like it's sincere. I hope she is sincere, but at the same time, Veronica only does something with an ulterior motive. I'm going to be honest. I want it to be a sincere scene. I hope it is, but that was just like a 30-second clip, so we won't know until we get the full episode. Because she literally has nobody. But then again, it is kind of her fault. Because if anybody does something out of line, she's literally, like Candace, will cut the cords loose.
Right. Maya Jones, I agree. I think killing Amanda off was definitely a mistake for sure.
Yeah, I feel this comes up in every single live stream. And it's just the same thing. I mean, there are a lot of characters who, if instead of killing them off, at least temporarily write them off the show. Put Amanda in an institution. Put Wyatt in rehab. Let Warlock escape Savannah. Let Maggie Day work on somebody else's campaign trail. So many characters that got killed off, but they shouldn't have been killed off in the way that they did. I understand a lot of them went on to work on different shows and other projects. I know Quincy was like a producer or working on some show. I know Warlock has made a few appearances. Well, I think it was like, what, CSI or something like that, and he was a, you know, drug lord gangster, of course. I forgot.
Hawaii 5-0.
That's it.
It was actually on a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's it. And plus he got married in real life too, so he's probably ready to do something else as well. But again, I feel like, you know, I feel like again, superhero movies or superhero shows, like, make it so I walk off the show or there's an explosion, you don't find a body. That's what the one rule of like comic books. Unless you see a body, then you can assume they're alive. So when it comes down to this show, again, how hard would it be to write these characters off in such a way where it's like, oh, I'm gone for a little while, but the door is open for me to come back instead of killing me off.
Like a true, like, daytime soap opera.
Exactly. And I'm just glad they haven't done the evil twin crap. Oh, my God.
Right, but this show, the pace of this show is so slow and it's written in such a slow manner that there hasn't, if you notice this, there have been actually no births, no weddings.
Just funerals.
Basically just drama and death.
Let's see, we had little Lizzie's funeral, we had Amanda's funeral, we had Quincy Jr. not getting a funeral but being cremated, and we had Maggie Day supposedly having a memorial in DC. Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's ridiculous. Oh, hang on a sec. Dominique, I think it's getting annoying that every season finale somebody dies. It's gotten to the point where it's like every mid-season finale too, for the most part. It's gotten old because when it comes down to people dying, if it was main cast members, it would be interesting. But when you have secondary characters, it's just like, nobody liked them anyway. Mostly. There are some characters who I like that got killed off, but it's just like, when it's so predictable, that's what I hate. Because it's like, it doesn't make me think. Right. It's gotten to the point where I'm like, well, who's going to die this season? God, cool kid. War, what about War? He's dead. He shouldn't have been killed off. That's what I'm thinking.
Right. I mean, I'd be okay if Justin was next on the list, but then again, it's kind of like repetitive. You expect it.
Exactly. And it's like nobody knows that War's dead aside from the Malones, Candace, and Erica. Nobody, I mean, plus I'm guessing some of his top lieutenants are dead too, you know, because I don't think he would have went to the Malone restaurant with some second string gang members. It looked like everybody that was in that house went along with him. So if anything, his operations is shambles, hence why I keep saying that Quita is technically speaking the head of the drug operation right now, at least outside the Malones.
Right.
Who had Maya, what do you think about the Pains? Oh crap, I forgot to watch episode 4. Let's see. And next, I know this is old, but what do you think about Tyler Perry killing off the Amanda? Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, it's just enough said. It was just I didn't like it. Jim knows about War's death. Does he? I don't think so. because I don't think. Yeah, remember,
so.
he kept telling David, you know, Mama Rose. I think David and Jim, Mama Rose hasn't been returning either of their calls. So, and then they're trying to get to Mama Rose through Benny, who knows. Oh my God, I forgot about that. I feel like that's going to blow up in their face as well. We're going to talk to Hannah and then her son Benny, who knows Mitch, who's the grandson of Mama Rose. So I feel like Benny taking that money from the Malones is almost as bad as them trying to get Benny to help out with Mitch. It's just a big mess. That's what it is. Gosh. Let's see here.
That's why we're so hooked. That's why we're sucked in, because it is a big mess. It's just a big chaotic mess, and it draws us in every Tuesday night.
Is it wrong that I feel like we watch the show just to see what's going to blow up in whose face? I feel like that's it. Cool kid. Quita looks like she stinks. Yeah. Do you not see the slum she lives in?
Yeah. I still laugh at seeing her face
in the ATM.
I think it was an ATM camera. That was
hilarious. Let's see here. Candace told Jim about war. No, she didn't. Wait a minute. Oh my God! Yes, in the finale at the hotel.
At the hotel in the hallway, right?
Yeah. Either at the hallway. It wasn't at the bar because. Yeah, it was right outside of her hotel room. That's why I'm like, I love the symbolism, because it's like it was Candace knocking on Jim's hotel door in episode 1, and at the end of last season's finale, it was Jim walking up to Candace's hotel door, establishing the whole "it's not over, bitch." And I'm just like, oh man. And it's just like, to me, I was just like, I don't really care about their whole back and forth, because I feel like there's just so much more going on now that I kind of forget about those two. But at the core, it's just a reminder that, hey, if it wasn't for us, this show wouldn't have started in the first place.
Right, yeah. If it wasn't for us, everyone would be, halfway sane. People would be alive and normal, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's just like, they were the first domino in the, Oh, hang on a second. Oh, I'm actually scrolling on Instagram here, and oh, hang on, this is Veronica Harrington message. Let me listen. Blah 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 blah.
Well, family, that's a wrap. It's a wrap again. Say hello to Elijah.
Well, they have actually officially finished filming season 6. Oh my God.
That was fast.
I know. Dang. Crazy. I love my fans. They always send me the best stuff.
Just 22 episodes.
That's true. I mean, because obviously they finished filming this first half. That's going to end sometime probably in March or early April. But yeah, it looks like they finished filming 2018. Let's just put it that way. Or season 6. I don't know.
And the fact that we couldn't confirm that the entire cast was there, maybe it's not the entire cast.
Oh yeah. I mean, it makes sense because, some characters, I don't think they got killed off. They already filmed their parts, because look at how the episodes are. Sometimes we are only in 2 to 4 locations. So some characters can probably knock out all of their scenes within a couple of weeks, and then they're off working on the next project.
Right.
But did Jim admit to Candace that he made sure... Little Q got killed? That was just so stupid. I really don't know.
I think, I don't believe that. And people really took that and ran with it. I saw people arguing on Facebook about it. I think Jim was just running his mouth because he's a cocky, arrogant...
He pretty much did to Candace what Candace did to him with the pregnancy test, making it think that, oh my God, I'm pregnant. And it was Amanda's test.
Well, right. And I think at that point he was running his mouth to her as to get back at her for the whole Amanda thing. I think that was his way of, kind of taking a shot at her, because I don't believe he didn't have that. He didn't have War go in and deliberately kill Quincy. I don't think he had anything to do with that.
Oh no, he said he had a sharpshooter. I'm just like, that makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, he made that up just to piss her off.
Exactly. And let's see here. Candace, Quita, yeah, Candace going to beat her up. Ain't nothing to say on that one. I didn't like Maggie. Shut your mouth. I love Maggie. Let's Let's see.
I loved when Maggie told Veronica that she was too flashy. That was hilarious.
I love that. And as Allison said in an interview, and again, an interview right before she got killed, that her character was only supposed to be in a couple episodes, but then it just stuck, and she ended up being a series regular.
Right. I liked her. I really liked her. And a lot of things that she gave advice, she was dead on about it. Like telling Kathryn to stay away from Jim. Kathryn should have listened to her. And then the things that she said to Veronica early on about her dressing and the way she acted, she was dead on with that too.
And that's amazing because we see how her wardrobe changed as a result even after Maggie died. It's just like, wow. And again, it goes back to watch the first couple of seasons and you'll see a major difference in terms of like the wardrobe, the way the characters look, you know, aside from their ages. But yeah, it's just weird. Yeah, she was way too flashy in season one. It's like, if you look at those outfits, I mean, she looked good, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, well, dang. Wow. Like the hats and everything look like Cruella de Vil. So
Cruella de Vil, yeah, wearing leather gloves in the summertime, yeah.
Let's see here. The timeline on this show is crazy. I feel like Candace asked about her father yesterday, their time, and he showed up the next day. Oh, please. I mean, yeah, I remember all the times where like Candace and Hannah were in the hospital when Benny was in a coma, and she would ask about the grandchild. It's like, what about my daddy? So I'm like, okay, well, Candace, now that your daddy's here, what are you going to do? You've been asking for him, and what? I mean, I guess it's the whole be careful what you wish for, because Hannah wanted her grandchild. Now he's dead. Now she has her father, and we'll just have to see what happens there. I mean, I feel like there will be a bigger crush to her ego or whatever heart she has left if it turns out her father didn't. It's one thing that Hannah doesn't want her, because I don't feel like she really cares about that. I want to know what her father's reaction is going to be. What did he think about her being pregnant? Did he know? And the list goes on. So tomorrow night, this time, we're all going to be hyped up, wondering what's next. Oh, yeah, Nathaniel, Maggie encouraged Veronica to go see Quincy. Absolutely right.
And get him out of jail.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take a couple more questions here, because I know we've been on this thing for over an hour, but any final thoughts? Because, again, I feel like tomorrow is probably going to be a chill day. I mean, hopefully I'm able to watch the episode live instead of waiting until like the next morning, because I really want to see the beginning. But also keep an eye on the Facebook page, because the Haves and the Have Not Facebook page, the official one, they might drop another clip tomorrow morning right before the episode airs that night.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well,
thanks for having me again.
Oh, no problem at all. We'll definitely do this after the episode airs, probably Wednesday or Thursday. But everybody, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you again soon.